I feel like sometimes we water down the possibility of being at true peace and rest in God because we actually deep down don't think it's possible. But in reality, do you often feel anxious or on edge, wondering why you can't just seem to find rest? Well, you're definitely not alone. Today we're going to explore how finding true rest is actually connected to understanding the Father's love for us. Welcome to another episode of Sip and Sew with Ashley, where we're going to dive into what it means to be at rest and knowing the Father's love for us. Also, stick around as we discover practical ways in entering His rest and His love. The journey for me all began before we went to Alaska last summer. The Holy Spirit was probing my heart and said, "Hey, do you know how much you're loved by the Father?" And I was super taken back by the question. I didn't really know, why would He ask that? But at the same time, it probed my heart in a way that was like, oh, I actually really don't know how I'm loved, how much I'm loved by the Father. And I had to come to grips with the fact that I didn't know that. And I didn't even fully know what He meant by that in a sense. And so here, was my side of things. And then here's Boren, where he is on this separate journey. And it was him being probed by the Holy Spirit, the amazing Holy Spirit that He is. He comes to Boren and is like, you need to rest. And Boren is like, what do you mean? What does that mean? What does that look like? What does that practically look like? And so it was starting to provoke our hearts into these questions and also being like, I need to understand. I want to understand. We started to learn how both of those things actually go hand in hand. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Let me go ahead and set the stage for you. So basically, the Father comes to us and tells us, go to Alaska and be at rest. And we did not know what that meant. We did not know what that was going to look like. We didn't know much of anything, actually. And along with that, we had no plans. We had no agenda. We didn't really even know where we were going to stay until about a week before we left. However, even in the unknown, even in the, all the things that we just weren't sure of, we knew what our Father was saying to come to a place of rest. And we knew that ultimately, if He's saying to do this, then He's going to teach us how to do that. We spent, about 2 months in Alaska, and it was incredible. And honestly, yes, it was, beautiful in nature, but the most important thing that I took out of it is that I literally did see God's faithfulness, just amazing stories that He just really, really showed Himself to us. If you're interested in hearing about all of our Alaskan Holy Spirit-filled adventures, definitely click the link above to check that out. And so now after Alaska, when we're heading back to Kansas City, and I found myself in a place that just easy to fall back into the state of anxiety and frustration and, been praying about things and still certain things aren't coming through. And then how it's easy to start stressing and striving and trying to make things happen and doing things in my own strength. And then, just coming to a crossroads of okay, am I going to continue doing life the way I was before Alaska, which is basically just plowing through and just, the saying goes, faking it till I make it kind of thing? Or am I going to let go of how I want to try to control things? And am I going to choose to rest and trust Him and believe that He is faithful? Before I continue on sharing on how we can embrace the Father's rest and love, I would like to share with you this apron that I'm working on. So here's another apron that I'm working on right now. And it's actually based off the same pattern of the apron that I showed before in a previous video, just with different material. It's going to be a half apron for those of you guys who are tuning in right now. And I love this just basically border here. It's just super cute. I actually double layered this material so it can have like a bolder color to it. And yeah, I'm excited on how it's going to turn out. And I hope it inspires you to do something creative as well. After briefly talking about how we embrace the Father's rest, you may be asking yourself, where does love come in all of this? Well, I'm glad you asked. So let's go to Psalms 127:2. And basically it says, "It is useless for you to work so hard from early morning until late at night, anxiously working for food to eat, for God gives rest to his loved ones." I mean, when I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. For one, it makes so much sense on how I was on this journey of being just confronted with the question of, do I know how much I'm loved? And then my husband is being on this separate journey in the Holy Spirit saying, hey, come into my rest. And then here we are, we were in Alaska, and I was just realizing how they intertwine with each other and how you actually can't have one without the other. There is this book that I actually read a while back, and it was just amazing because, the Bible often compares us to sheep, and for good reason, because honestly, we are definitely quite similar. And it's actually hilarious. So this book is called A Shepherd's Look at Psalms 23, and it's by Philip Keller if you're interested in reading it. And something that I really love about this book that really goes hand in hand with this conversation is basically how sheep only can come to a place of rest when they know that their shepherd is caring for them. In other words, sheep can only be at rest and relaxed when they know how much their shepherd loves them, how much their shepherd is looking out after them. And so again, we are equated with sheep, in the Father's eyes, because we are definitely a lot alike. And the same goes for us. Whenever we know that we are fully loved and we're cared for and that the Father's heart is for us, that's whenever we can come to a place of rest. So let me put it another way. We can't come to rest whenever we're feeling anxious, whenever we're feeling angry, upset, scared, whenever we're, in want, we feel that we're lacking. That is actually just showing it's allowing us to see our hearts in the areas of where we're not trusting God, but where we're not understanding his love for us. Because if we fully know how much he loves us, then we would know that, he's going to care for me. He's going to take care of that. He's going to figure all of that out for me, and I don't have to do it myself. I can actually come to a place of complete rest. A couple of takeaways that we can get from this conversation are, it doesn't mean that we are not going to experience chaos in our lives or trouble or hard times or the testing of our faith. It doesn't mean we're not going to experience those things. However, it doesn't mean that it's not possible. Actually, it really is possible by the Holy Spirit. And, we can actually trust him because he is our Father and he knows all things and his heart is for us. Even when we're going through the difficult times, reminding our hearts that he is for us, he loves us, he has no hidden agenda, and we can put our trust in him. Also, he desires for us to remain in him and to be close, just as Jesus was. Jesus was the prime example in how to maintain peace in the most chaotic times. I mean, let's think back, when Jesus was on the boat in the storm and he was the one sleeping. I mean, I feel like sometimes we water down the possibility of being at true peace and rest in God and fully knowing that we're loved. I feel like we water it down because we actually deep down don't think it's possible. But in reality, it truly, truly is, because Jesus demonstrated that for us. And he said that we have those abilities too. Let's talk about practical ways and how to grow in this. You might be saying to yourself or thinking to yourself, okay, we're talking about how to embrace his love for us, how to step into his rest. And if you're like me, or maybe if you're not, you'd be asking yourself, how or what does that practically look like? What do I do and how do I do it? Well, I'm going to reference another book. I mean, you probably can guess it. I like to dab into different books. This other book is called When the Soul Listens, and it's by Jan Johnson, and I'm currently reading it on and off as an audiobook. It's really great, so definitely encourage you to pick that up. But basically, from that book, it talks about in times of prayer, whenever you're sitting alone and you're having your quiet time, detaching yourself from like the to-do list of the day, or, detaching yourself of all the things that you need to get done and all the things that basically distract you. Because then you are able to be attentive to his presence. Just be with him and spend time with him. The other way that you could, grow into that let me say we, because I am growing into it too, is throughout the day, as you're busy, asking the Holy Spirit to ground you in his love and nothing else. That sometimes, that's actually what I've been practicing myself, because I can get easily just engulfed in the busyness of the tasks and all the things I got to do and just all the things, where I sometimes even forget, like, oh my gosh, I didn't even stop and talk to the Holy Spirit throughout this day. And so basically that's something I've been practicing, is like, okay, Holy Spirit, root me and ground me in the Father's love, lead me into his heart, and so that I can experience that for myself and I can know that. As we wrap this up, I want to let you guys know that I definitely do not have this all down perfectly. Guys, I've been growing in this myself. I've been learning. I've been being provoked by the Holy Spirit in this. But ultimately, I desire to be truly at rest in him because of having the confidence in his love for me. And I would love for that to be for you as well, to be at rest. There's so many things happening in our world, so many changes, all the unknowns. I know that in the midst of all that, we can truly be at rest and at peace, just the way Jesus was. Please like, comment, and share this video if you have found it encouraging. Your support helps our ministry reach other people. Also, consider giving a tax-deductible gift and help us continue in our music ministry, helping women out of human trafficking, and spreading God's love and truth by creating more videos like this one. Thank you so much for joining, and until next time, guys, see you later. Bye.